WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Alrighty, so the timer in SVG, it is 7:46, and I'm back with you for another segment of this morning's Activated Mornings program. You have with you Roleza Samuel as your host for this morning's show. Dianna isn't here with me, unfortunately, today. Already, I don't have a caller. Hi, caller, good morning.
Special good morning to you.
Special good morning to you too, and happy International Men's Day.
At least you're the first to tell me that. It's good to know. But hey, what happened, right? A few months ago, we had a CELAC meeting that took place in St. and it was quite impressive broadly. I noticed the authorities did a lot of work in clearing the road from the international airport straight to Bukumen, and that was impressive. But I have noticed in recent time that there are a lot of animals who got struck on the road several times. I saw one dog just outside, a dead dog outside, Thelma Bailey resident about since Thursday. And I want to know if the Honorable Minister of Health or the Honorable Acting Prime Minister who passed there every day and the entourage who drive the Prime Minister, I want to know if they don't notice these things that they could inform the relative authority. Because hey, what happened? You have an international airport on that direction, and you're having tour buses and other taxis pass with visitors, and there is a dead dog on the road for at least 4 days. And you could imagine the strength of that dog and the smell it gives off. And I can't understand why we make all that effort just for the CELAC meeting in St. Vincent and Grenadines. I was hoping that the authority would have tried to maintain what they did in terms of making the St. Vincent and Grenadines prepare and the preparation that they put in to make sure that we sell this impression that we are good at what we do. But all of a sudden, dead dogs on the road, here, there, and everywhere, and nobody in authority sees fit to get somebody from the Ministry of Health or the Public Health Division to remove these animals lying on the road for days. I'm a bit upset about that because when you drive people and people see animals like that, most of the time they ask you if the dogs are stray dogs. None of the dogs in Civis are stray dogs. They are owned by somebody. And for some reason, we need to see an effort being made by the ministry, the post and the Ministry of Health to deal with the issue of dogs and animals that got struck and just lying on the road until they decompose by vehicle driving over and on them all the time. So that's my observation for today. I don't know if you want to ask anything.
Yeah, I suppose I've always been curious about that though. So I think that you're talking about the main roads, but like, are there any residential properties in front of the areas where you see the dogs though? Because I've always been curious. Go ahead.
But of course, anybody will know where the Thelma Bailey property is. Is a stretch of road that leads from the vacant house go straight up to Prospect. And it's happening all over the road that leads from the E.T. Joshua Airport to the International Airport. I think that the authorities should pay attention to make sure that stretch of road is properly maintained. I ain't talking about the infrastructure. I'm talking about the cleanliness and the drain and the overhanging trees, because I don't know if you remember or you were told the effort which was put in keeping the road absolutely clean when they had the summit meeting here that took place in St. Vincent and Grenadines at the Bukumen Hotel. It was spotless. I was hoping that they could have maintained that and give that impression. Because let me tell you something. First impression counts, and impression are lasting. And whenever you see a dead animal on the road, they will say that is something that is happening in St. Vincent. And we need to see some authorities find ways to deal with that menace that is affecting this unsafe position of what taking place. Okay?
Yes. All right. So, okay. Thanks,
All
Kingsley. Mm-hmm. All right. So just to add, just to add to what Kingsley said, though, there are times when I often wonder who actually is supposed to be responsible for the removal of animals, dead animals on main roads, right? But there are times as well, too, that sometimes you would see a dead animal in front of a residential area. It's on a road, yes, but in front of a residential area. And people just allow the animal to become one with the road, There are times when I wonder if it's a case where they are also waiting for the authorities to get rid of the animal. I mean, sometimes it could just be something as simple as asking somebody in the community who, mightn't be squeamish, to help you to bury it if you have, well, I suppose bury it somewhere. But I suppose the general question for me has always been who actually is responsible for the removal of dead animals on the road, and as well as in cases where you see them, persons are up and down constantly and running over them or driving over them. Who is supposed to take the initiative in that case? So just something to throw out there. I guess somebody could respond and let me know exactly who is responsible, or if you think that maybe sometimes we should take the initiative and try to, do things for ourselves as opposed to necessarily having to wait on authorities to act. All right. So that was this morning's commentary with Kingsley. Now, just to quickly jump into something else that I came across last night that I had a good chuckle over. So I'm reading this from St. Vincent Times, but I believe that it was taken from somewhere else, right? So Russia Mom's Ministry of Sex bans child-free lifestyle. So we back on this topic of people not procreating enough or quickly enough, all right? So the Ministry of in Russia, they are considering having a Ministry of Sex, all right? So Russia is considering establishing a Ministry of Sex in its latest move to tackle the country's declining birth rate. A loyalist to the president of Vladimir Putin and chairperson of Russia's Parliament Committee on Family Protection, Paternity, Maternity, and Childhood is looking into a plea demanding such a ministry, according to reports. So officials in the country are looking for a myriad of ideas to put to meet Putin's call to halt the demographic decline said to have worsened by Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine, resulting in significant loss of life since February 2022. So listen up to some of the proposals that they wish to make to help to boost the birth rates in Russia. So they're saying no internet and light. I'm giving you 1 second to think why, right? No internet and light. So among the suggested ideas is one is to turn off the internet and even lights between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. to encourage couples to get involved in intimate activities. Now, I know as adults, me, by 9 o'clock, I ready to just go sleep. So whether or not internet there or whether light on, is sleep, I going to sleep, right? So this is interesting. Another suggestion is incentives for mothers. So they're considering paying money to stay-at-home women who are raising their children and doing housework is also among one of the suggestions. And this can be included in their pension calculations, all right? So they're considering or thinking about paying women an incentive to have children, all right, or to stay at home. They're also thinking of paying for first dates. So another suggestion is that the government start paying people for their first dates and up to 5,000 rubles, all right? Russian money, the 5,000 rubles. So you're going to be paid money to go on a first date. Now, I wonder if there's going to be a quota placed on this because, if I know that I'm looking to, let's say I'm being proactive and taking a man on a date, can I probably go on, let's say 10 dates, right? Within that year, is there a quota that's going to be placed on the number of dates that persons can go on? Another suggestion is wedding night payment. So public funding for wedding nights in hotels for couples is also said to be under consideration. This involves payment of up to 26,300 rubles in hope of promoting pregnancies. Now, I don't know if people are thinking that just off the bat on your wedding night, it's possible to get pregnant. Yes, it can happen, but it doesn't always happen. So some persons might just be paid money for fun, for engaging in fun or whatever they would have done for free in the first place. All right. So that is also another suggestion, wedding night payment. So they're saying as well, let me see. Okay, so that actually is the end of it. Now, I suppose when I read this, I had a good chuckle with it because I realized that internationally or worldwide, we are seeing a decline in the birth rates, right? There are various reasons for it. And again, one of the reasons actually stems from women having a bit more independence in terms of not just independence of their body, but also independence of where it is they work. If they choose to work, they're bringing in their own income, etc. So now they have more control over their lives, right? Their lives, and they no longer consider themselves to just be baby machines. So we see that that is happening. Now, interestingly, when I read this, I was also thinking of the fact, I read another article where they're saying that, you know, on the flip side of it, having a decreased population is better for the environment, because we recognize that with more humans on Earth, there are more persons are going to be using up more energy, right? There are more persons who might be driving on the roads, so emitting carbons, etc. We are going to see that there is even things like deforestation to make way for accommodation or places for persons to live. We are going to see situations like that. So some persons are also looking at the flip side of a decrease in population, which may turn out to be better for the environment. And we know that we're talking about climate change and you know, global warming, etc. So maybe, you know, on the flip side, we would see what happens there. But even stemming from what was discussed in that article, or the suggestion from Russia in terms of the ministry of having or establishing a ministry of sex, I don't see anything mentioned there in terms of safe sex. Now, I'm not just looking at safe sex in terms of persons not making children, right? In terms of using proper protection to not make children. But I didn't see any mention there of, let's say, having couples go and get STDs and STI tests done to ensure that, you know, that they are safe to engage in sexual activity with other persons. You know, so I know that there are many times when persons talk about, let's make that the world needs to be populated, go and make children. But we also have to look at the reality of there are many persons engaging in sexual activity, unprotected sexual activity. This unprotected sexual activity can result in the birth of a child, but it can also result in the spread of STDs and STIs. All right. So as much as I see that nations are promoting the fact that we need to increase the birth rate, and understandably so, we also have to look at how it is that we're actually protecting our citizens, right? So that's just my thoughts with regards to that particular article. And I think that many other countries are going to find creative ways to get persons to go out there and make babies, right? But again, it's always going to come down to individual choice, because people have to know their own situations and whether or not they are actually in a position to take care of these children coming into the world. All right, you had to know. So if you don't think that this is for you, or it's not for you as yet, take your time. All right, take your time, because government ain't going to be inside of your house when this child is screaming off and crying out and nagging you and all that, and you know that emotionally you're not equipped to deal with this child. The government is not going to be there. All right. So we are going to jump out at this time. It is 8 o'clock. And when we come back with you, we are going to be heading into an interview with three men here in SVG. All right, 3 men here in SVG. So our time is 8 o'clock, as I mentioned, and our time check came to you with the compliments of New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a fact of life. Even though death is a fact of life, that doesn't make it any easier. When dealing